Okay, I'm joined by Steve McConville. Am I saying that right? McConville?
Yeah, mate, you've nailed it. Most
Check
people
it.
don't. I've actually been called McGonagall before, and I was like, I didn't realize I was in Harry Potter. So, you know,
Well,
it,
it's
it
all
works.
magical at the end of the day. Steve
Absolutely.
McConville from Confessions of a Traitor. He's here today to chat to me about the upcoming album, "The Pain Will Serve," which at the time of recording this interview is out on the 16th of May. Now, first of all, I've been giving it a listen, and it is absolutely stonking, mate. It is a great record.
Thank you.
Um, Now, it is quite a powerful title as well. Can you talk about the meaning behind it and how, it shaped the direction of the album?
Yeah. So this pain will serve you has come from the. Well, let's put it like this: we in the last 2 years we've had a lot of like personal trauma within the band. I mean, the album is very open about what the songs are about, from sexual, emotional abuse from priests in the Catholic Church, from when my parents were growing up, to church hurt that I've experienced, all the way through to both of our guitarists. Their mothers both developed cancer within the last year. One of them sadly passed away last year, and the other one has recovered. So it has been an incredibly tumultuous 2 years, and unfortunately for Jack, with his mother passing away last year, it was a very short battle with cancer, and she was here 1 minute, 4 months later she wasn't. So as we were kind of writing this record, all of this crazy stuff was going on, and we were kind of channeling a lot of, like, I guess, past experiences and past trauma within this record, and then it started to manifest in this incredibly emotional, um, very kind of true representation of what was happening right now. And as I was writing the lyrics for the record, I was like, I remember looking at Jack and being like, I can't see, I don't know anyone as strong as you. You've taken the most uh, like the hardest thing you will ever have to go through, and you have raised yourself above it. And it's the idea of all of this trauma, all of this pain, either conquering you or using it as a platform to push yourself and become a stronger and better person. And that's essentially where the album title has come from, is that we can grow and evolve from the pain, and if we don't, it'll completely consume us.
Cool. So, I mean, the record, it does clearly explore things in a very deeply personal way. You've got one song, Still Haunted, and this sort of
Yeah,
touches on, I understand, one of your close friends'
yeah.
real life tragedy. Now, how did you approach telling such a personal and sensitive story through your music?
I personally feel like I resonate best when it's a true and honest representation of life. Um, I know the music that I listen to, like, as a vocalist, as a lyricist, like I want to know the meaning behind stuff. Like, there's some great music out there which just has utterly pointless lyrics, and you can just bop your head along, and you're like, yeah, and have a great time to it. And there's a lot of like ignorant music at the moment, which I utterly adore. It's just big caveman, like beat downs, and like, do you know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
grunts and barks, and I'm all for it. However, like, I find when I write, like, I just channel all of my emotion into them, and I use it as a form of catharsis. Like, this is my release. This is my way of kind of channeling how I truly feel into this or like into music, because I think otherwise you'd explode if I didn't have like a true representation of what or how I was feeling. So, for example, Still Haunted, I watched my friend go through the loss of his partner to suicide, and it was the most traumatic thing I'd ever seen somebody go through. Until Jack's mum passing away, and it's like, well, all of this pain and all of this hurt is stuff that happens to people every day, and people just don't talk about it. And I think it's such an important thing to be able to truly have a conversation about how you're feeling and what you're going through, and for people to listen to it and say, oh, that's happened to me, and oh, I didn't realize that people felt the same way as I did. So I guess I use it as a way to connect with people who don't really have a voice. I guess is
Cool.
the best way of describing it.
Yeah. So you've actually answered indirectly some of the other questions I had there. So I'm going to
That's
skip
good.
ahead slightly. But first of all, condolences to both Jack and
Thank
your
you.
friend for their losses. But it does bring me, I say the word nicely, not nicely, but it does bring me into the question. Grief, as you've said, is quite a universal experience. But I mean, we're getting better at it as human beings, but it's generally not talked about very openly. And although things are shifting in this space, which is terrific, um, in part, people, and bands like yourselves are bringing them to the forefront. Now, what message do you hope listeners are, going to take away from this album?
I I hope that people sit and listen and resonate. Like I said a moment ago, it's like this isn't this isn't just something that you're going through. Yes, your situation is entirely unique, but there are other people out there who are struggling with similar things. Um, and there's a community of people who are willing to support you, willing to reach out to, and talk to you about these things. And I think that talking about it is the first part of it. And like you're saying, yeah, we got better at it, but we're still rubbish. We're still really bad. And as two guys here now, that there's a mental health crisis within men at
Yeah,
the moment. And it's like, well, how can we provide a safe space for individuals to, I guess, share their emotions? And people will laugh at that, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's just soft." And it's like, no, if you can see somebody else, describing how they feel about a situation or about whatever's going on, then hopefully they will have the confidence to share it with a friend. And ultimately, for me, I know that the more open, the more honest I've been, the stronger I felt, the more confident I felt, the I guess the more sure in myself I felt as well to go, hey, this is okay. Everyone experiences it. And if I can start the conversation and continue it by being a support to people, then I will. And like I said, the title is a direct reflection of what the lyrics are, which is the pain you're going through right now. If you can get through this, which you can, it will serve you in the future, and you will be a more resilient and stronger person off the back of it. And like my day job, I work with people who've got chronic health issues and mental health issues as well. So it's one of these things where I see on a daily basis people really struggling, and we're trying to bring people through into a community to share their experiences. And when they do, they feel like a ton is lifted off their shoulders, and they can start to work through things and move forward. So there's a lot of like my real life kind of sprinkled through it. Like I said, I like to be as
yeah.
as real as possible.
Cool. Well, I would say, from my own personal, perspective, the record actually resonated quite a lot with me because I've had my own difficulties. I've
Yeah.
never been too shy about talking about them, and I've said in my interviews in the past, I gave up drinking about, nearly is it 3 or 4 years? I can't actually remember now,
Oh mate,
but it's
congratulations.
coming up to a long time uh, because of like personal grief I was having.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're putting this record out, from me personally, I think is a vitally important thing because it does drive forward those
Mm.
conversations. Now, I do want to move on to, you're performing a London show on the 31st of May,
Yeah.
which will actually be quite a special moment. Is there anything fans can expect from the performance? And What does it mean to you to actually share this album live, in London, your hometown, as it were?
Yeah, and it's always a special time to be able to play like hometown shows. We don't get to do it very regularly. We're touring a lot, and we're out in the we tend to do a lot more abroad. So when it comes to coming back and actually playing a London show, yeah, it does mean an awful lot. And I think, in the last couple of years, we've probably played London two, maybe three times. So, like it's gone past the point where, as you start up as a band, you kind of like you play every show you can grab, and you've played, the King's Head and the Rose and Crown like 15 times within the past month, and you still try to drag people down. And thankfully, it's elevated past that for us. But I think for us, like it's pushing us into the next chapter of the band, which is the evolution of the sound and the maturity in our music and the way in which we've written. And like the last couple of years, we've really kind of refined our stage performance and our sound live. And it's right, there's a lot of diversity within this record, and we're known for being a very aggressive, very lively live band, which we still are. And then it's sprinkling in a lot more melodic sections in where I can't be running around sweating all over the crowd and screaming in people's faces when I've got to be singing these really subtle, gentle melodies, but then sprinkled in with like some of the heaviest breakdowns that we've ever written. So it's the dynamics, and it's how we bring the dynamics of the record into the live show and really push what we've done from that recorded perspective, which is one thing. It's one thing doing it in the studio to moving it into this live environment. And we just love playing live shows, so it's why you do it ultimately. Yeah, you put a record out and you see your streaming numbers go up, and you go, "God, that's numbers on a spreadsheet,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool." But when you see people physically at your shows singing the words back and well, singing and crying along with you with all of the songs that you've been putting out, it's an amazing experience. So we've only played a couple of songs off the record so far, and they're just the singles that have come out. And with the last two singles that we've released, one about my friend's partner passing away, and then one about Jack's mother, we can't look at each other live. None of us can see because the moment we do, we catch each other. There's always somebody crying during one of the songs, so it's about translating that emotion live to people to see that it's not just it's not just an act. It's genuine pain put into this record, and people can see it. And enjoy is the wrong word, but I think you understand what I mean. Like
Appreciate. Let's go with
appreciate. There you
appreciate.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Appreciate the live the live aspect to it.
Amazing. Now, excuse me. Apart from Still Haunted, and the other song has left my brain, the other single, I'm sorry about
Noble
that.
Blue. Yeah.
Thank you. Apart from these two singles, which you have already played live, is there a particular song you're most looking forward to bringing to a live audience and seeing their reaction?
Yeah. So we've got. I think there's a couple. So there's one called Midnight Sun, which is a very very heavy quick track. Um, and there's another one called Let It Consume Me. So both of them are have got features on the record. Sorry, Midnight Sun's got a band called Saria on it from Sweden. They're friends of ours that we toured with a couple of years ago. And then Let It Consume Me has a feature on from the band War of Ages, who are on our record label. So I'm very excited for people to hear those songs, because I think that it's a kind of an evolution of the heaviest side of what we bring, and they're just cool songs. Like they're just cool, heavy, bouncy, fun, energetic, emotional songs. So I know from that perspective, like we haven't played those live yet at all, and I know I'm very like the problem is when you write featured parts and you're trying to sing them live, you're like, oh, this is written for two people. It ends up being quite exhausting. So we're divvying up the lyrics between the three, between our two guitarists and myself. So yeah, it creates a really really nice dynamic. But yeah, there's a lot I'm looking forward to. Starve, which opens the album, is
That's a
just
great,
two
yeah.
minutes, balls to the wall, heavy as hell, and it's like cool. Like we're just gonna go straight in and be as heavy, and then next thing you know, you're singing these like lovely little melodies after barking the heaviest breakdown you've ever done. So like I'm looking forward to the dynamics of it live, really, because we've only really had like one kind of emotional song that slows it down. Now we've got a whole plethora of them that we're kind of leaning on from a perspective of looking at how we temper that live show.
Now, looking ahead, with what you've done with The Pain Will Serve You, and thinking about how it might shape the future of the band, both musically and as a statement, because you've clearly got a lot to say and you want to say something through your music. Where do you think the next step is going to be for you as artists? Are you going to continue on this road, or are you going to get more adventurous in? That's the wrong way of putting it. As are you gonna be
I think I
trying
understand
something
what you
else
mean.
more? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. I mean, for us, it's like we've seen. I mean, we talk about numbers on a spreadsheet. We've seen the most amount of streams we've ever seen in our lives over the last 2 months. Um, we've seen astronomical growth and excitement around this record. So the singles that we've released have struck a chord that has resonated really well with people. So I'm excited to see where the album brings us. I mean, we play the UK, we play London. It's our only London show that we have booked this year. It's our only UK show that we've announced this year. Um, and then we go off to America, and we're doing a headline tour of North America for a month. So for us to kind of look back on 3 years ago when we released our second album, and we'd done a couple of European tours. We were playing, around the UK, and COVID had just ended, so everything was just kind of starting to pick up.
Yeah.
We've seen tremendous growth, and for us to be stepping forward now. If I said to myself back then 3 years ago, I'd be laughing if I told you we were doing a headline tour of the US and it'd be the third time we were going back out there. So we've seen a lot of progression already, and I think from a musical perspective, we've got a lot we haven't announced yet, from festivals to tours and stuff like that, and the prospect of many things to come. It's that age old cliche of, the local band posts big things coming on their social media platform, but there's a lot of stuff that we've got kind of lined up that we're very excited for, but nothing's confirmed in the world of music. But it's the conversations that we're having have elevated way higher than we've ever thought. And I think from a writing perspective, a lot of bands will be like, "Oh, we can, we're not, we're always writing." We're a couple of demos into the next record already, and things are evolving more now as we speak. Like, if you look at the last record to this record, the dynamics on this record are an evolution of the last record.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we absolutely want to lean into the heavy side of the band as much as we can, but at the same time, you know, our choruses, our melodic bits, we've really experimented with on this record, and it's like, well, if we think we're all right at these, so let's keep going down this pathway as well. But we draw influence from so many different bands that it's like, well, why, when you listen to like a Day to Remember record, you get the pop punk bangers, you get the slow emotional ballad, and then you get those like really bouncy, happy, fun songs, and then they do a super super heavy song. And it's like, we're never going to be in A Day to Remember, but why can't we kind of reflect the dynamics of that kind of style of music, where you go, oh, I'm listening to the heavy one, oh no, I'm feeling a bit like I want to listen to the slower, more emotional tracks today. And it's like, we like this, so why can't we reflect this in our music, and have people go on a journey rather than 37 minutes of just breakdowns and riffs. which is also okay. Like we also love that, but
Yeah.
for us, like we want to progress as singers, as musicians, and evolve the sound of the band, and by going as heavy as we can and also as melodic as we can at the same time. And I feel like we've achieved it, and hopefully the listeners, when the album comes out, will reflect the same feelings that we do.
Well, fingers crossed for you. But I mean, I'll
Thank you.
say from my perspective, and without sounding egotistical, I'm a hard man to please because I hear so many different things all the time now. And as I said, it did resonate with me, this one. So touch wood, that does the same for you guys, or for the
Thank you.
fans as well.
I really
Now,
appreciate it.
when, because I think did you say it's the third time you're going to be going out to the States?
Yeah,
When you
yeah, yeah.
first went to the States, or when this first happened, because for British bands playing the USA, it always, it kind of feels like this is it, we've made it. It's kind of the badge of that's the next evolution. How did it feel when that first happened compared to now? Because I think this is the first headline. Is it the first
Yeah,
headline one you're doing?
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do they differ for you?
I mean, I'll know more when we come back from America, and I tell you that we played to like 27 empty rooms, but we're luckily we've seen the ticket sales already for some of the shows, and like I'm absolutely blown away. So I'm very excited to go over. I mean, for starters, I need to give a massive shout out to Convictions, who brought us over initially. Like, our record label Face Down are US based, so that has given us a platform for establishing ourselves in the US. And I guess when we kind of look at it, like that album, Punishing Myself Before God Does, did really well for us. We charted on 4 charts in the Billboard charts. We were completely blown away by that. We had no idea. So we're like, okay, so there's some hunger for us to come out. And we were kind of we picked up an agent, and it was going to be a real DIY, play people's basements, sleep in the van. And then out of nowhere, Zach, the drummer from Convictions, just DM'd me on Instagram and said, "Hey, do you lads want to come over and tour the US with us?" And we were like, absolutely. And it was a 4-month turnaround. And the hardest thing is trying to get a US visa.
Yeah.
And not only is it hard, but it's very expensive as well. So we kind of had to toss up, the risk of the amount of money that we had to spend, and never getting anything back and never seeing a return for it. And we're like, well, this is what we want to do, so we've just got to pull the trigger on it. And we nigh on went bankrupt to get over there. I tell you what, it's been the best thing we've ever done, because we then went back over again with Convictions, and we toured twice off that one visa, and now we're going back again, just re-upped our visas again, and it's been easier this time round because we're more established. We've got proof and evidence of us going over there. So it now has come to a stage where we're getting booked for festivals in the States, where the tour it came together a lot easier than we thought. And there are bands that are wanting to open for us. And it's very surreal, because like you say, you think, oh, you see a band going over to the States and you go, oh, they've made it. And it's like, no, we're just getting our foot, like our toes are dipping into the pool. But you have to pull the bandage off to be able to say, right, I'm investing as much money as I can to go over there. The band is never going to make that money back, because it's just so expensive. Our visas are nigh on about £10,000 for the
Ooh,
four of us. Yep.
ouch.
Yeah, and that's all personal money that we've thrown at it. And then you've got your flights, so you're looking at 1,200 each. So quick maths, you're looking at around about 16K just to get over there. And then you're like, right, you've got to get the van, you've got to get hotels, and and merchandise. So you're starting to knock on the door of 20 odd K, and you're like, better sell some t-shirts. better cover our costs a little bit. And fortunately enough, there are people who are coming out to our shows, and we feel incredibly blessed to be in this position where there's excitement for it. So yeah, I'll know more. If I come on the podcast again in 6 months' time, and you see me with bags under my eyes and slightly crying because I'm in massive amounts of credit card debt, you'll know that the tour probably didn't go as well as we thought. But hey, look, I'm a big proponent of you've got to create your own luck, and you've got to do absolutely everything that you can do to take as the opportunities that you are given, and see where they take you, because you'll only ask what if.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's, I guess, that that's my mentality around it.
Well, I think from my perspective, then I say I hope you at least come back with a fiver profit each at the very minimum, because ultimately, I mean, even from what I do, it's very much a love of the music. We're in the 99%. We
Yep.
don't make the big bucks,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
Absolutely.
One day perhaps. Now, I've only got one more question for you, and it's more of the fun one. You've probably heard
Sure.
this one before, but I still love asking it. I call it Tales of Touring Terror. And it's,
Oh,
have you
okay.
got a story you want to share or be willing to share about something that's funny or crazy or unfortunately kind of embarrassing that's happened to either you, or you can throw one of the other members of the band under the bus and tell them about them?
Oh, it's always better when you give like a personal story,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like,
it is.
because I could throw many of the members under the bus, but I always kind of lean back on. We've had some wild experiences from playing on a barge in Lyon in Paris, in Lyon in France, and thinking that the boat was going to go underwater, because the as we were playing, you could see the water coming over the portholes, and we're like, I think we're going to drown in here. To um, I mean, this is the story, but we were playing in Eastern Europe, and I got really sick. Now, I say really sick, I was like, I have never wanted my mother more in my entire life. Right? I'm mid-20s. I'm throwing up. It's coming out both ends, and I'm in a bathtub, completely naked, just sobbing, going, I can't play a show tonight. I can't. I've just got the water pouring down me, and we had a driver. He was Russian. His name was Max, and he spoke a little bit of English. And he goes to me, like, "I'll take you to a pharmacy. I'm not going to butcher the Russian accent." And so we went to this Russian pharmacy. Now, at this time, I just want things to stop. So he goes, "No, no, no," and then points at his bum and goes, "No, no, no," and he gives me a tablet and then this like black liquid, and he's like, "Take the tablet, drink it." So I was like, "I just need this to stop." So took it, and I was like, "I don't feel better, but nothing's coming out of me anymore." And but then nothing came out of me for 4 days. And after about 4 days, I started to feel a little bit better, and we were in St. Petersburg in Russia. And I am, I think it was about 5:30 in the morning, and I'm stood in St. Petersburg Square, not a soul around, looking at this incredible Russian architecture, and I was like, I'm feeling all right. And I trusted a fart, and
Oh
I
no.
I soiled myself so badly. I had to waddle back to the bus, and I was like, "Lads, we got to find a toilet right now." And they were like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Listen, my pants are full of something," and they burst out laughing, and then the smell hit them, and then they were like retching out of the windows, and the only thing open was a KFC. Strangely enough, in Russia, so I had to run in, like, just clean myself up and throw my pants away. So yeah, that's a mildly embarrassing story of me in one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, and like just soiling myself because I was so unwell. So yeah, we've got yeah. I put egg on my face more than any of the other boys.
To be fair, it's a good story. Hoop
Yeah,
stories
yeah.
always make people chuckle. Did start off kind of like almost like a horror movie with black liquid. It was like, I
Dude,
mean, I've seen The
honestly,
Substance recently, and I was there going, I can see where this is
right?
going. Really, you're a 90-year-old man that's like tucked
Yeah.
behind the wall at the moment. Really, let's be
My
honest.
body's still left in some strange Russian village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, I want to thank you so much for chatting to us today. You will always be welcome back to have a chat with us. I'd love to do it again when you've headlined the USA. If you come back like crying, go, it's over. It's a disaster.
It's
Well, at
like
least we can have a giggle about it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we,
At least we can. What we'll do is we'll react to this podcast, so where we watch it back and we'll say, "God, look how naive and wet behind the ears he was. Look how hopeful he was about how well this album was going to go and how well this tour was going to go."
honestly, mate, I think it's going to go fantastic. I mean, you've already
Thank
said
you.
like people have bought tickets, and
Yeah.
ultimately, even if they don't show up, they've given you their money. That's all that matters. They've given you the dollar.
Do you know what? I'd play for free if it was just to see people and get to talk to them every night because I just love chatting to people about music and about their lives. So it sounds cheesy, but I can go over to America and see people that are interested in the same stuff as I am. So hey, I feel incredibly lucky to be in this position.
Amazing. Well, Stephen, again, thank you so much. Good luck with the tour. Good luck with the album launch. Uh, I'm pretty much 100% sure people will love it as much as I did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you so much.
See you later. Bye.
Cool. Cheers. Bud.